Your wife is so nice.
Him running it?
All right.
Heather, Mr. Long's feelings are hurt. He didn't get one.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We're going to continue with our Board of Selectmen meeting, April 16th, 2018. If everybody could see, please stand and join in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Previously, we have had a few non-public meeting minutes. We need to take a vote on whether we are sealing them or not. So, what do we have up first?
Jay?
So, my recommendation is I don't see any need to seal those particular minutes.
No.
So, everybody in favor of that?
Second it? Aye.
Right. So that was RSA 91A32J and legal opinion on the Recreation and Beach Commission was discussed. I see no need to seal those.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was 91A32B, hiring employee. Let's get this other one. I'd recommend that we seal that one for 6 months.
Please.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
And that was? Oh,
Yeah. So 90.
it's,
Chairman.
That was 3 months, was that?
no, we're sealing at the 6th, all right?
Yeah, we said we were
Okay.
going to discuss
Okay,
it
that's
between
right.
3,
Okay.
so I thought it
Yeah.
might be a good idea
Yeah.
to wait
It'll be,
6 before, because we're not sure how that's going to go, right? Okay.
It would be 91AA.
So it's
copies.
91
It's A.
AA,
Yeah,
compensation
yep,
of an employee.
yep.
You guys have a recommendation?
What are you gonna do with that?
We probably should seal it
Seal it.
until the time limits
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So,
Till September, what's that, 6 months?
It's October maybe?
yeah, 6 months.
I say go to October 1st, that way it's,
That's legal.
Okay, so 6 months. I'll make a motion to seal these minutes for 6 months.
Second?
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
And that was 91A:3 2J, tax deeded property discussion.
yeah.
I'd make a motion to probably seal those for 2 months to make sure we are able to contact the people before.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, that's
I'll
hiring.
make a motion to seal it for 2 months. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's employee.
And that was 91A:3 2B, hiring an employee. Okay. So, moving on from that. Next we have on the agenda is public comment. And just a reminder, at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, we discussed that each person is going to be able to allowed to speak for 3 minutes. And also, please, when you make your statement, state your name. So I'll open up to public comment. Tim?
Timothy Long. If I may, just 3 comments. I'll take them quick. Okay. First of all, I really want to appreciate the work that you, Mr. Tebow, have done to make this transition go as smoothly as possible. Of course, you could not have done it without the able assistance of the employees of the town, the department heads, and of course your able town administrator. I really think that you have done an excellent job. My second point is that I want to congratulate Mr. Elder, and I think that his community news does an excellent job in portraying this community. There's very, very little, there's no backbiting, there's no really, it's straight news, which is refreshing in this atmosphere, believe me. And my third point is a little challenge. Every other community organization, the planning boards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all have multiple members, so that if someone is absent, there's sufficient number of people to sort of take over. I have maybe 3 alternatives. If one of you people cannot make a meeting, then I feel as though the meeting should be canceled. Number 2 is perhaps to seek, I'm not interested, but to seek an alternative member to make a threesome. Either that, or I don't know how it would be done, but to have a 5-member board, of course, that would be cumbersome. But you know, think about that in the future, okay? Because things do happen, and you know, when you have diverse personalities and you only have 2 members, then you do have a situation. Just a suggestion. Just throw it out for your entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Go ahead, David.
Just tied, David Carpus, just to tie in with what he was saying, that was one of the things I've heard being bounced around, was the concept of increasing, because from what I understand, and maybe somebody can confirm this, is I think a majority of the towns are shifting towards 5s, not just from a backup perspective, but from a perspective of legally, if you talk to one of you just had a meeting. At least it gives the ability for selectmen to talk one-on-one without having a meeting and falling under 91A. When you have 5 people, 2 people is not a meeting. You don't have a quorum, 2 people can actually have a conversation. Right now, you can't. So again, something that probably should be discussed or at a later point or investigated as an option.
Okay. Thank you. Larry?
Larry Brown, I believe that statute does not allow for an alternate for the selectmen. Two remains the legal quorum. There is provision in statute for switching to five. You can, however, wind up with two cabals of two people each fighting desperately for the swing vote.
Thank you. Pat?
Pat Smith, I'd just like to remind everyone that Saturday is the 21st, and that's the roadside cleanup day from 9 to 12. We have a cookout at 12, so all is welcome.
Thank you.
And that's at the Public Works Department building, 803 White Mountain Highway.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, I will close public comment. All right. Next on the agenda, old business, landlord public hearing schedule, May 7th, 2018. Heather?
I just wanted to update everybody that we're going to be having the landlord ordinance public hearing. We've scheduled that for May 7th, which is the next Board of Selectmen meeting, and the public hearing will be opened at 6:30 p.m. that evening. So we're going to be posting that, and that will be the public hearing on that ordinance.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Next on the agenda, Avatar update. Heather?
Couple things. We're starting to get the abatements in. I think I've been handing them out, and I know Kathy's been working on those. They're coming in from Avatar. Avatar's out visiting properties, and I think some people have gotten some abatements, and there are more to come. There doesn't appear to be any rhyme or reason to how they're coming in. We're getting maybe a packet of 10 of them, 12 of them here and there, and then they're just getting applied. So if you put in for them, just be patient and just know that they're working their way through them. I did have a letter yesterday that came, or Friday that actually came in from Avatar, and I wanted to read to you from part of it, just so I thought it might give people another update. This is from our assessor, and the last paragraph goes into a little bit of information. It says, we are making some changes on a global town-wide level due to sale information. Some areas of concern need to be addressed on a property-by-property basis and may not all be addressed without being brought to our attention. There will be an opportunity for all taxpayers to bring forward any concerns or questions during an informal hearing process on revaluation next year. The abatement process has brought forth some of these concerns and questions that we are addressing them as much as we can given the model that is currently applied to the town valuation. I do not want to imply that things are right or wrong because the methodology that was used is different from what Avatar normally does as a company. We are trying to ensure consistency and fairness at this time. So they are working their best to fix these issues as they go through them. And like I said, we're getting a stack in, every few days, and they're going through them. So I just wanted to give people those updates.
Do we have any idea when it's going to be completed at all?
No, nothing. But they're keeping quite busy, and I get, like I said, a stack of them.
Okay. And just so the public knows, when you receive those, you're obviously passing them
To
right
Kathy.
along. What's the process?
Kathy's updating them in the system, and then they're getting updated in the tax software, and then the tax cards are being changed.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, they're coming with new tax cards, so. And people are being notified.
All right. All set?
Mm-hmm.
This is next on the agenda, the old fire station sale. This is a carryover from last meeting. We discussed looking into getting a realtor. If you could just give us an update on where we stand.
Where we stand is that we're working with legal on it to make sure that we're following all the steps properly, and before we have listed with a realtor that we're all in compliance with everything, so that when we list it, we can actually say goodbye to it and be done with it. We've had a few snafus, and it's working with right now in the town attorney's hands, just waiting for an answer back.
Okay.
From,
The attorney.
the attorney's waiting for an answer back from who, though?
We're waiting for an answer back from the attorney.
We're waiting for an answer from the attorney.
From the last warrant articles we were able to find.
And then we need to hear back from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully we'll be moving forward with finding some realtors.
Finding some realtors.
But
Excuse me, on that note, I went and looked in the windows, can we clean the place out and make it sellable? Looks like a bomb went off on the inside of it, so.
I haven't been in it, but we could do a work order. What's still in it? Do you-
Lockers, desks, fire equipment,
is it okay?
it needs to get cleaned out, make it sellable.
All right. So regardless of,
I didn't go in, I just looked in upstairs, looked in downstairs, I don't know what's like left upstairs in the attics and stuff, but there's no sense in leaving that mess that's there now, so.
Okay. I can talk to
so
her.
as a board, do we want to ask Heather to
Please.
talk to the appropriate people to get that cleaned up?
Yes, please.
Do we all agree?
Certainly.
All right.
I'll work on that.
Okay. New business. Acceptance of Conservation Commission member resignation. This is from Eric Knapp. I'm all right to read this out, right?
Yeah. That one you can.
This is from Eric. Despite my best efforts, the demands of my career continue to prevent me from participating in the MEDC. I think that it's only fair to formally step down, freeing up the position for someone who is better able to serve the needs of the committee. Please pass this on to others, along with my sincerest best wishes. I feel that Milton has so much unrealized potential, and if there's any way that I can help from the outside the committee, I'm always just a phone call away. Best of luck and Happy New Year, Rick. Now, this is going back a little while.
I'll make a
So-
motion to accept.
I think it's the current one, too. The Conservation Commission.
Looks like he's
Oh.
doing that as well.
Yep. Sadly, I have deliver the same message. I hope that I would have some time to contribute to at least one of these committees, but I'm back on the road again, so unfortunately I need to step down from both Conservation Commission as well. So, that's unfortunate.
Yes.
So, Andy made a motion.
Make a motion to accept resignation for both.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next, appointments to boards and commissions. So, the BOS has several committees and commissions that they need to appoint people to. Quite honestly, I think this has been a little bit of a difficult transition with the new board, not having a good understanding of what committees and commissions we're supposed to be appointing to, and it seems that we even have some paperwork issues that I know Heather has been working through. So I guess, Heather, I'll turn this over to you.
Okay. We have obviously the board has to appoint to several committees and commissions. And you had individually asked me to look into some of them. We found that there are some boards and commissions that really are lacking a number of people when we started to look at this.
So you want to go down
Yeah.
let's start
start
with
with
one at a time.
Townhouse. Let's start with Townhouse. We do have a request from John Catwick would like to be on it. Right now, from what I can tell, we have one person on it. The committee. Here is the last, I was able to get these from Michelle Friday. It looks like these appointment sheets came in, apparently a former selectman went to a townhouse meeting, even though John gave you some stuff as well, he's asked to be it, John Catwick. But it looks like that we have one person on it, a Suzanne Babel, that's currently an active member.
Okay.
That's the only one that appears to be an active member.
And how many members in total does that?
That's one other question. I think
Yeah.
we need 5. Or at
For the
least 3.
townhouse?
I think it's 3 or 5. That's one of the ones. Another one of those questions. So we need to get it out there. We need to post it.
So there was some. So John has been leading that whole project off, and
Yes.
there was
He dropped
meeting
off some,
minutes
saying that he was sworn in.
until
packet.
2019, was it?
Yeah, he thought he was sworn in until 2019, but the appointment, Michelle did not have, Michelle the town clerk did not have that.
Okay.
This is what she has for current people in that committee, so.
Okay. So what does the board think?
So who's current? The only one current is Suzanne Babel?
That's what we have,
Okay.
yeah.
And there were minutes from a townhouse committee
That John was
committee.
able to give us, yeah.
that was basically, I think it insinuated that John was sworn in until 2019, but we seem to be,
Lacking that,
Missing
so he
that,
needs
so
to be,
I think we-
appointed.
should appoint him tonight. So it's kind of a housekeeping thing.
Is there any bylaw, is there anything anywhere that states, a warrant article, anything on the creation of this, where there, how many people there are supposed to be on the commission or committee?
I think it's different where it's a committee, not a commission.
And there was, looks like at one point there were quite a few.
Right, looking at the paperwork, but is there anything that says exactly how many they're supposed to have?
I don't have any bylaws.
Nothing.
I
So
did not
John,
find
would
any.
the board like to ask, since John's here tonight, ask John if he could fill us in?
Waive it, so John speaks, please.
Okay. John? The Townhouse Stewardship Committee, how many members are supposed to be on that? Do you know?
Originally, there was about 6 or 8, and we got down to 3 that's listed today that was sworn in by Mr. Tom Gray, Board of Selectmen Chairman, a year and 4 months ago. And for some reason or other, documentation, whatever it looks like, the paperwork didn't get through, but Heather has a copy of the meeting minutes of the townhouse stating that clearly, which is Suzanne Babel, Judy Kimball, and John Catwick.
Until 2019?
I don't imagine Tom mentioned that, but I'm not sure. I can't speak for Tom. I know he swore all 3 of us in at that time.
See, this is the minutes. They're in your packet.
You got it.
Yeah, the minutes are from the Townhouse Stewardship Committee, but they didn't make it into the town selectmen minutes. That's the problem. And they really didn't say that the terms. And they weren't on these appointment sheets.
And to follow up on that, to answer your question, the remaining people aren't on there because they're supporters of the restoration, just like I listed in the annual report this year. Us 3 are under the direction of the Board of Selectmen as advisors to the Board of Selectmen of the town of Milton. That's what we are.
Advisor.
And listed by the state of New Hampshire, because we have a stewardship agreement with them, for the Townhouse Stewardship Committee. I hope that answers all your questions.
So let's go ahead and get John sworn back in.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to appoint.
I make a motion to appoint John Catwick to the Townhouse Stewardship Committee for 3 years.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Follow-
Okay, I have a question. Moving forward, how many, is that a comfortable number, or, I mean, should we,
Should we be posting it?
We might be able to answer that with Michelle.
I'm looking at, I don't know, I'm just going down through all of these. I mean, you go through the website and there's,
Yeah, so I think we need to get there
Right,
But
I mean,
let's-
is there some place out there that states how many are supposed to be on this committee? And then,
I think Michelle had her hand up. I don't know if it's,
I actually have two things. Yes, I think that it's, when they originally were formed, I think it's in the selectmen's minutes of how many people they appointed to begin with. But the other question I have for you is, you just made an appointment. Where's that appointment sheet?
it's right here.
Can you make sure that you swear him in, everything gets signed, and it comes back to me? Because that's where the problem lies, is those appointment sheets are not coming back to the clerk. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
so back to my question, is how many
Do we need?
do we need on that stewardship? I mean, is 3 a comfortable number, or is it 5, is it 8? You know,
Three's comfortable
Okay.
at this time.
okay.
Okay, so I think that if the board agrees, maybe we should have Heather go back into those Board of Selectmen meeting minutes and see when that committee was created, of how many members we said it was supposed to be. And then we need to post that we're looking for however many members we're missing,
With a date
with a date.
for closing applications.
Yes, that's,
And if we're gonna be posting more than that, we need to know, I'm gonna wait and see whatever else I'm
Right,
posting by the
right.
time we're done with this
Right,
discussion.
right.
Okay.
okay. So,
Okay.
John, do you want to be sworn in now, or do you want to be sworn in at a
Oh,
later
yeah, I'd
date?
love to, yeah.
Okay.
Want me to come right up?
Yes, please.
Come on
Wow.
down.
Can I keep my key?
That makes it easier.
Okay. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, John Ketwick,
Do solemnly swear that
do and solemnly swear,
I will faithfully and impartially
I'll faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me
all the duties incumbent on me,
as a
Townhouse
Townhouse Stewardship
Stewardship
Committee,
Committee,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agree to the rules and regulations of the
ability to the rules
Constitution
and regulations of the Constitution,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me
So help me
God.
God. Thank you. And I just need you to sign this.
I have it filled out.
You have it filled
out.
out? Okay, perfect.
Print your name.
We should
Give it
give that to
you.
Michelle on the way back.
Yeah, give it to Michelle. I do. Sign.
Townhouse Stewardship. Your name, John. Townhouse Stewardship until 2021. On the 16th day of April.
Okay.
Look right? Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, want me to keep going?
Sure.
Okay, the next one we have is the Rec Commission. Now this one is another one that is kind of, we spent some time doing some research on as well. The Rec Commission, the Rec and Beach Commission, looks like it's one that got merged back in 90. It was supposed to get merged in the year 2000. It was recommended by the former town administrator at the time for it to be, the two commissions would, or committees were to merge in 2000. I couldn't find the warrant article in 2000 to merge the two committees. That's the first part of this. So we spent some time looking for this warrant article, went back and forth on this one, was trying to figure out how many positions we had open on this committee, because I'm not sure which person brought it to my attention, but apparently they weren't sure which we had 3 or 5, 5 or 7 positions open on this, or 5 or 7 total people. And apparently, again, because of open seats, we only have 3 current people on this commission. So that I wasn't sure if I was posting for 2 or 4 people. So in doing some checking under this, and we I was trying to figure out how many people wanted to know. I did get a copy of the Recreation Commission bylaws from Karen today, which looks like there should be 5, but that came
Total?
According to what she has for the Rec Commission bylaws that were adopted in 2013, total of 5 today.
That's 5, 1 BOS member, 1 school board member, and then 3 appointed by the BOS, correct?
Yes.
Great.
Yep. They're appointed by the BOS. And it kind of goes into that, but that's what she came up with today. Thank you. And thank you, Larry. And the rec commissioners, it goes into a little bit more detail. When I talked to our town attorney, 35B talks about RSA 35B talks about what a rec commission or rec and beach commission can do, what the selectmen can delegate under 35B, under a warrant article, and what was done and what wasn't done. It appears that it wasn't really specified too well. So he recommends, as a matter of housekeeping, that's cleaned up in next year in the warrant. That you guys spend some time drafting a warrant article dealing with the authority and the scope of the Rec Parks Commission, and what did you want it to say in terms of who you want for size, and what specific roles you want delegated under the Rec and Parks, whether it be to, the authority of the beach, what you want to do that.
So, what is going to be the name of
That's again would be up to you and the voters, what you want. But right now, it's been functioning as the Recreation Commission.
Overall total, just...
I believe it's Park and
Okay.
Recs and Commission, according to this. It looks like, again, it merged in 2000. I found a letter from a former town administrator, which was the planned. So there's been a number of different warrant articles over the years. Like in '48, the Rec Commission was established by a warrant article. Again, there was another one in '77 that did the same thing. So then there was also a beach committee in '97 with 2 alternates, but that was 5. Then '97 it talks about there was a 7-member Parks and Rec Commission. So that's why I kept going back. The numbers kept changing. So in trying to research it, I'm just trying to figure out how many people you're supposed to be appointing to. So 99, the selectmen voted to merge the Beach Commission with Parks and Rec Commission. The 99, the town voted to create a revolving fund and to take the funds. It looks like the one thing that did happen and went through completion was the money from the beach revenue goes back through the revolving fund to the commission. So that was completed. But all the other housekeeping things probably weren't completed as well as they should have been.
So that commission dictates, for lack of a better word, how the money's spent from the revenue from
The beach.
just the beach
It
or from all recreation?
Appears from the beach.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and this is in. So we have several people. So I posted that openings. We've had several people put in for that. Walter our town attorney made some recommendations of how it should be set up. But that's kind of where we are.
Okay.
With that.
Karen has something to add. Yeah.
The 99 vote gave the commission the right to oversee a revolving fund. The 2004 vote gave the commission the full authority over the beach, the maintenance, all using the funds taken in and that went to warrant, both of them, and both passed. So that's where their authority came from. And then in 2006, there was a vote to try to bring the authority back to the Board of Selectmen, and that failed, leaving it as not an advisory committee, but as a committee overseeing and having full access to the money on both.
On that, and again, it's learning and
Yeah.
reading and all of these things. From what I'm reading, in part of the concern and that on this has been that because there haven't been constant meetings or scheduled meetings that have been published and minutes taken in that, kind of, from what I'm reading, makes it a defunct.
Not really.
I
think
no,
some of the
but
stuff
what we
that's
want to
been
do,
posted-
what we want to do is try and work to establish, to clean it all up.
Yep.
To go from the 1948 to the 1999 to the 2004 and just kind of pull all of that together so that we're all on the same page. Am I speaking right?
Yeah.
That we're all on the same page and understanding. Because there's so many things when you start going off into those RSA on the 35B, where if there's not X amount of meetings held and X amount of meetings posted in that, and it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So we just want to clean all of that up, come up with which way to go.
I just wanted to know there were two separate.
Right.
That's why one was the revolving fund and the other was the beach.
So if we can get all of that under one
So
umbrella, parks
They
and
had been functioning
recreation.
until spring of last year, and then you had a member that got sick, and then a turnover on the school board, and so there was a lot of reasons they ran into issues meeting.
Well, it happened. I mean, it happens with all of
They were still functioning, they just
Right.
weren't functioning, having functioning meetings, but they still functioned as a board.
So if we can do something, come up with a new
Mhm.
warrant. I hate to throw out another warrant article. Are you in agreement? You're signing over here.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
I'm confused.
I think we're all confused on, just because there's been so many different warrant articles and calling it from a committee
It went from a committee
to a commission.
to a committee to a commission back to.
Right, so it's like, you're trying to follow that paper trail and it's been like,
I think
I
they
guess
spelled out that they had permission to do their own bylaws and govern themselves as far as the size of the committee and the function. And the last board minutes, their last bylaws are pretty specific.
and I think if I'm reading everything, and again, this is all a learning curve,
Yep.
but if I'm reading everything that I'm reading correctly, each committee, economic development, should have their own set of bylaws.
Yep.
Select board have their own set of bylaws. I'm getting the nod from Larry, so I must be accurate. Each board is going to have, so.
I don't know if that passed or not, though.
But I
I've
think.
been part of the commission for over 20 years, and it has right along functioned as a full functioning board, with the exception of this spring with 2 or 3 things going wrong and they hadn't met, but.
But if we can get it all, are you in agreement if we can just clean up, come up with a warrant article
I think we
and
have some good
do?
people that want to continue and move projects forward. The new ball field, there's several of them.
Am I okay or am I overstepping?
No, you're
Okay,
good.
I just want to make sure.
So, what were you saying about the 2004 vote? I'm just trying to figure that out
The
still.
2004 vote was when they gave authority over the beach, the taxpayers. And then in 2006, the vote was taken to try to change the premise of what the board actually would have for authority and put some of it back in the hands of the Board of Selectmen and make them an advisory committee.
You think maybe it switched 2004, was that? Because that's what it looks like here.
What's that?
I get 2004. It didn't pass.
Correct. Well, then maybe it was before that. The one that gave authority over the beach and running it and the money did pass. I didn't put in a book together for you downstairs, but I'm not. Like all the way to 1948 back to see. It's kind of funny when you read it.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean,
So
it's in
Andy used to
cursive.
be
I've been reading some, yeah. it's
A
fine.
beach guy. His name's in the middle.
Well, I'm sitting there trying to figure out I'm not privy to all this information. I mean, I'm seeing a piece of paper going back and forth, not knowing what the heck is going on,
We can
so.
pass them over to you.
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess we need to get our ducks in order before
What?
we.
I've been pulling
It
Yeah.
all
hasn't been a
that.
recognized group since 1948.
But it was a beach commission.
It was a committee.
It was a beach commission back in, when my father, Bob Targis, and Poochie Tanner were on it. It was
Yep.
the commission.
All right, so what is the attorney recommending? with the current information, it sounds like the attorney has, his concern is basically the current commission technically probably doesn't exist. Would that be a correct?
He's saying what he said we need to do, so we need to do some housekeeping.
So in the meantime, I mean, we don't, warrant articles, we get a whole year to go here, so
You gotta do something to
we
clean
gotta
them
come
up.
up with something to clean this up for at least a year to get through.
To do a stopgap.
So, he doesn't really have any recommendations here, does he?
He's saying do something. Unless we can prove something.
Okay, so if the Board of Selectmen made an advisory committee, which we can do that.
I don't think you can do that.
It wouldn't be a
because
commission.
the taxpayer put them in, whether, it's the intent of the taxpayer, and the taxpayer at the time they took that vote, the intent was, they were a functioning board or committee, and the intent was for them to govern over that, so I think you'd have to get an opinion from the AG's office, or,
Well, you also have the problem of not meeting for over a year. So it becomes defunct. That's the issue.
I don't know if they didn't meet for a year.
Well, the
There was
minutes, it
minutes
says
that
May
you sent
15th.
out.
Posted
Yeah, just that
publicly.
the minutes weren't posted, didn't
They
mean they
didn't.
All
didn't
right,
meet.
we gotta,
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. It's based on the intent of the
This is where the
taxpayer
money.
when they went to warrant.
okay, so I think we still don't have enough, we don't have our ducks in a row at all. So if the board agrees, maybe Karen and Heather should just make sure you both get the same information and the attorney all get the same information.
We're not gonna hear back from the attorney till the end of the month, so what do you want me to do?
Can we put a temporary committee in place for it for the
No,
time
I'm
being,
not
or
ready to
no?
do that.
Not even a temporary committee, no.
No, I mean, because I don't think that, we haven't, when we post positions, committees, we're not putting cutoff dates. You know, I had somebody call me yesterday, asked about what they do to get on the beach commission, and I'm kind of looking at I already got my agenda that, you know, I'm bringing people forward, I'm like, But if you go to the website, which I hate, but anyways, you go to the website, there's no closing date. I mean, applications for beach commission will close on April
Budget
10th.
committees, the budget committee did. The budget committee did theirs, they closed theirs out April
Can you guys talk
12th?
just a little bit?
I'm
please?
sorry, the budget committee, was it April 12th? Is that the deadline?
It's close for a
Okay,
month, by the month.
right.
Right, but if you go to the town's website, it's asking for people who are interested in being on the committee, but it doesn't say
Give a
when
date,
the
right.
deadline is to be on the beach committee. If you go on the town's website, which I did yesterday, and it does not specify, and I just, you know, then I had somebody call and ask me, how do I get on the beach committee? I'm like,
But
I'm looking at the agenda saying, well, we've got people coming forward, so.
technically, and one of the things that we need to talk about in the housekeeping with all of these all of these committees and everything, is it should be the chairperson of that committee to publish.
Well, I think it depends, because if the Board of Selectmen's appointing, it's really
That's us.
up to us.
But
Right.
shouldn't the
we should be calling
chairperson
for
of that
candidates.
committee, shouldn't the chairperson of that committee, though, let us say, hey, this is coming to a close prior to the, no, yes, maybe? I heard somebody,
Michelle,
I'm not saying anything.
well, I mean, you actually keep all the records for this, right?
That's correct. I would
So
expect that the
you're-
Board of Selectmen would keep track of who they're appointing and when appointments need to be made. That's my opinion.
which is in the book that you keep, correct? So you say the Board of Selectmen should keep a separate book from that?
I would think that after every March, you should be reviewing who's on your committees and seeing what needs to be done.
Which is what we've been doing, which is why we're here to this point right now, trying to clear up.
But we've got to the point now is, all right, they're asking us to appoint for a beach commission, but it didn't give on the website, I guess is
Right,
what.
that's in our control, and we need to fix that.
Right,
And I
well,
think
that's
we
what I'm
can.
saying. I mean, I'm not ready, I don't think it's fair to the people that are interested that didn't get a chance to submit a letter.
Yeah, so I think we get two different issues here, right? We
Whatever.
got the appointment of the rec commission or whatever we're doing with that, and then we got how we're dealing with appointments going forward.
In general.
So let's deal with the rec committee first. It sounds like we're
Putting it on hold,
putting on hold.
Correct.
making a
Let's make
motion.
a motion, I put it on till, and then come up with a closing date for applications.
Okay, but before we make that motion, can I just add, do we want to ask Heather, well, first off, we've already asked her to get with Karen to make sure the attorney has all the information.
That's fine.
And then go one step further, if there is concerns with the rec commission being defunct because of not meeting or other reasons, do we want to do a temporary committee of 5 members for a year until we can get the warrant article straightened out, and would you want to run that by the attorney?
Do you want me to?
Are we in
Yes.
consensus?
Yes,
Do we-
yes,
Yes.
Do you want
Okay.
to take a vote on that?
I mean, we can if you want one. I think we're all,
Or whether, I'm just a little nervous about that, so if I'd rather have you take a vote because where there was a warrant article that created this, if you're talking about doing a temporary one, I need to know because.
well, that's what we want you to ask.
Okay.
We're not saying we're
Create
asking
a
if that would be an
ask if
appropriate
possible.
way to fill the gap between now and
Okay,
voting time.
okay.
How do we make it till next town meeting legally?
Yes,
To next time.
well said. Okay,
Next time.
so we are going to put that on hold until we hear back from the attorney.
Okay, and he is in court, as you know.
So hopefully by the first week of May, roughly?
Yeah, alright, so I need to go to Karen and work on all this, okay?
Okay. So, we still have 2 more.
Just one thing, you're going to go to, they're supposed to have a meeting on this committee tomorrow, or Wednesday.
But that person I called a meeting isn't even on the committee anymore, technically.
Okay,
So I don't know, can they have a meeting? I don't know.
Can
I
you
don't know
call
what to do.
Buckley?
I can call LGC.
I would call either him or what's her name? Megan?
Margaret.
Margaret. And that would at least get us by until we can talk to our own, or you can talk to our own attorney to find out.
Okay.
All right.
Alright, and I'll get back to you on that. Alright, next
So,
one.
EDC.
that's clear as mud, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, where was I on this one?
So next we have economic development. We also have a library trustee alternate. So it sounds like, and I agree with what was said earlier, we really need to put closing dates when we advertise that we are asking for volunteers. Do we want to set a closing date for all these, except for the rec commission, which we put on hold? And then revisit this, hold on, just revisit this at our next meeting.
Are you saying you're looking for a library trustee alternate?
No, we have one.
We have
Yes.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the.
What's the question on this one?
Well, actually, I guess that one's probably a little different because it's an alternate.
Is she here?
We're having 2 different conversations. I apologize for the confusion. So I think the concern on the board is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we're posting for interest in the community to join committees or commissions, but we're not putting a set date on when we want all the applications in by. So the concern is it's not fair because people don't know when they have to have their application in by for the Board of Selectmen to review. So it's simple. That's all we're trying to resolve.
Okay.
Alternates, we haven't talked about alternates.
Alright, we have somebody who'd like to be on the Economic Development Committee.
But none of those people are here.
No,
But we also didn't put a closing date on that.
no.
The one thing on it though is there's a resignation which we can act on, correct?
Right, so now that there's a resignation, we're gonna have 1 more,
Mm-hmm.
2 more openings. Oh yeah, you're right, there is a Mike.
Like,
Yeah, why don't you accept that? Huh?
So we've received a resignation from James Bolio. I do not wish to participate as a member of the MEDC so far of today, April 3rd, 2018. I'm officially withdrawing my appointment.
Motion to accept?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now, how many positions are there available?
I think there's one.
Are we sure there's one?
I have somebody's resume attached. And I
Oh,
don't see.
Nancy Wings.
Nancy Ring.
But she moved.
But she can still
Right.
perform duties on that.
Can we do that?
But this goes back to the same thing that
Right,
you
we
brought up
gotta get the
before.
advertised, the dates.
Right.
Yep.
She wants to be considered?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually have two. We didn't have a letter, we have a resume submitted. Why, I don't know.
Okay, so
It needs to have an end date.
Yeah. So we'll put an end date.
And they need to be here to be appointed.
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
No, we can accept it.
we can accept and
Yeah.
appoint, and then they can come into town hall later and be sworn
Yeah.
in, or
So
be
could-
sworn in by one of us at a later date. But the
Okay.
appointment does have to be done at the meeting
Yeah.
Have
and
to be
recorded in the
present,
minutes.
So I
right.
make a
But they
motion, we
don't have to
table
be
it till the
present.
next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you want to do for an end date for advertisements?
Michelle, do you have something to say? Okay, you're looking at me like you do.
Because the prior Board of Selectmen had set it up where if someone was interested in being appointed, they did have to be present. So now you're changing that. You're not requiring that anymore.
Where did the prior Board of Selectmen do
It
that?
had been in the last 2 years. I was sitting here when it happened, and I was like, yes, good job.
So I think we're reviewing our bylaws, and we're gonna be running by our bylaws, and if that's not in there, I
So you're
don't,
doing something different from what the former selectman did.
if the board agrees, yes.
Okay. We will run into trouble again with the appointment sheets, which you know is my pet peeve.
There's only 3 different ways to be sworn in, right? Board of Selectmen, Town Clerk, or Justice of the Peace.
I don't know about the JP, I don't know that part. I'm not a
Legal
JP.
opinion.
Yeah. And as long as that appointment sheet is filled out and turned into you,
That's where it gets lost, is when it doesn't happen at a selectmen's meeting and get completed and then turned in.
but if they come to you and you swear them in, then you do the swearing in and the appointment sheet and you get all of it.
You would have to sign the appointment sheet, appointing them, yes. If they come and bring it to me, that's the problem.
Okay.
Right. What would you like to be for the closing date for applying?
What's the next,
When's our next meeting?
May 7th.
so when's the agenda? What's?
Friday before.
No. What is it?
Wednesday before.
at noon.
Wednesday before.
Wednesday at noon.
Yep.
Before, so it would be, I'm
May.
sorry,
Do it the Tuesday before.
the Tuesday before, so May. Do you have a calendar? Where's our calendar? The calendar
Tuesday
appears
before would be May 1st.
May 1st, the day the auditors are here. Okay. So how about May 1st?
Okay.
Good with that? The board good with that?
Mm-hmm.
May 1st.
And that's gonna be, you're gonna review
All of them.
all of them.
And they're all going to be posted to return in by May 1st.
Yep, with the
Okay.
exception of the rec commission, because we're waiting for a legal opinion.
Yes. We're gonna have to
Are
talk
we
to
all speaking
That
the
is
same?
10-4.
Okay, so are we good to move on beyond this one? That was
Painful.
not as smooth as I would like, but,
Question 7.
Well, there's a lot. Oh,
okay, next, VSP approval, this is Heather.
Okay. One of our department heads brought this to me. They would like, some of their employees brought this to them. They would like the town to offer VSP. It's an insurance eyewear plan. It'd be all 100% employee paid, so it'd be no cost to the town, but it'd be another group benefit that the town would offer for our employees, that we would just get the group plan. Come through payroll deduction, so all our employees who are getting weekly paychecks would be able to buy into this program. So I just need the board's approval to go ahead with this, and then we can start this.
Make a motion to go ahead and approve the VSP approval for the, town employees.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Listen. VSP insurance.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, 2019-2024 capital improvement project request forms. I wanted to bring this up to the board and the public and everybody involved. The planning board is starting the capital improvement project review. Bruce, our town planner, has sent out an email and all the forms to all the departments, commissioners, in different areas in town that should participate in this program. I personally think it's a great thing. I think the Board of Selectmen does have, it's really up to the planning board to do the review, but the Board of Selectmen should be encouraging everybody to be involved with it. And I'd like to ask the board if they agree with that.
Absolutely.
Okay. This includes the school system too. So I was thinking that maybe a good way to let everybody know that the board really is encouraging everybody involved this year is maybe you could ask Heather to draft up a letter and send it out to all the...
Could we also include the water precinct in that? Because...
And they are. So school superintendent, conservation commission, recreation commission, cemetery trustees, water district, sewer district, library trustees, library director, went to everybody.
Okay. I mean, they're going to be a big one that's going to come back and bite us real quick if we don't start planning for that.
Yeah. So I think it would be wise for us to just send a letter out along with Bruce's email to say that we really would appreciate everybody's support and participation in this program this year. And in the past, I know the departments have put a lot of effort and time into this and spends a lot of time with the planning board going over all the projects. So, and I would encourage anybody and everybody that has any questions on the capital improvement project to show up to the planning board meetings, because there's a lot of good things discussed, and unfortunately there's very little public that shows most of the time. Okay, moving on. Good. Bylaws to be reviewed. So this discussion originally started at a workshop where we basically gathered several different communities, Board of Selectmen bylaws, and we're reviewing them to come up with our own. The intention of this is for all the Board of Selectmen to be on the same page, the public to be on the same page, and hopefully smoother transitions in the future. So we have a draft here that Aaron did, and then I took the draft and marked it up some, and I handed you guys all a copy at the beginning of the meeting.
My question is, did you take the draft after she took the draft, or did you do it before she took the draft?
I took the first draft I got.
Oh, not the second draft. Okay.
Right. So I don't know what the best way, how we want to go through this. The two copies I handed out, so one of them has markups on it, and the other one is just the same thing, just without the markups removed.
And I haven't submitted mine, but mine are all in my highlighted.
Okay. So, do we want to take one copy? And I also did bring my computer. I know it is getting late too, but I did bring my computer and I have it saved on my computer if we want to try to update it as we go, but it is going to be time consuming.
Do we have time, or would this be possible to table to the workshop?
Yeah, I'm just going to say I would rather digest it.
I mean, because this is, you're talking
Right.
9 pages.
I know. We probably need a whole separate workshop for this.
To go through 9 pages, it's already getting
7.
Yeah, I want to share mine that I didn't share with you, so.
Yep. You want to share them now?
Can we
and wait
make
till
a
the workshop?
copy? Can we
No,
make a
I
copy?
want to go back through because you can't read my writing and
Oh,
I
okay.
can't.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll table that. Next, we have review and confirm chain of command and town organizational chart. Heather,
I think I passed out the org chart. It's basically just confirming the org chart that's been in place. I think we made it look prettier, or Danielle made it look prettier today. She got frustrated with it.
I lost it.
You lost it, I did too. I gave away my last copy. It's pretty much the same.
Is this the old one? Or
That's
new
the old one. This is the new one. The new one isn't in color, so.
Okay, so are there any changes on this?
I don't think anything different. I mean, we tried to put the elected on one side, the non-elected on the other side. I think that's pretty much it.
So there were some missing on this one, though.
On this one, there were some.
On this one.
Yep, so we made sure that we got them in here.
So we added, let's see, rec director.
Because she wasn't on that one for some reason.
Yep. CEO. So that's,
I think it's everybody. You know,
Okay.
we put library in there because library goes to the trustees, so that's a little bit different. And so we put that under the trustees, as you
Yep.
can see. That kind of goes, it falls in line with what you're trying to do with your bylaws.
so does board have comments?
No, looks,
Yeah, I think
it's pretty straightforward. I mean,
in my version of the bylaws, I actually reference this
So we need that to
as
get
an
that in.
appendix. I think we should put it in the bylaws, but
yeah,
we'll deal with that when we talk about the bylaws. So we want to make a motion to accept the revised chain of command by the town administrator as written.
sounds like you did. I'll second it.
All in favor? Yep.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else on that, Heather?
Thank you. Glad it's done.
Next, adopting 2012 International Property Maintenance Code. Andy?
Actually, I got the date wrong. There's actually been an updated one. So what I'd like to do is basically, I'm probably the biggest complainer about the way everything looks in town and us having no bite of being able to do anything about properties that are eyesores. Basically, we have nothing to, there's no bite. None of our zoning ordinances allows us to do anything with any of these eyesores. So, I've done some research with some of the other communities that they've done, and basically, it's gonna be something that's gonna have to be put on the warrant for next year for the voters, if they so choose not to vote for it. But it's basically to adopt the 2015, the International Property Maintenance Code. You can go online, and I mean, it's not, I'm not looking to tell people what color to paint their house. But, you know, everybody's complaining about buildings downtown, you know, the ones collapsing. Well, this gives you some bite where you can go in, and it gives you some teeth to go in and deal with some of the derelict buildings. So that's just.
So have you had a chance to look into exactly what we have to do to
Well, I
adopt it?
figure
Does it need
we're
to
going to
go?
be March, so I guess we get some time to work on it, but I just wanted to get it on the radar and then
I
start.
mean, planning board probably has to.
Right, I would get it. It's 61 pages, so I really wasn't going to print it off my printer. So it's 61 pages of, you know, and there again, a lot of the communities have adopted it, and then they've just, you know, there's actually a PDF form where you can fill in your own data. You know, the town of Milton, you know, adopts, and then you've got some bite to go out. And I mean, the only thing you really get now is junkyards, I mean, if you have any more than 2 unregistered vehicles, it qualifies if it's 25 years and newer, then they have to have a junkyard permit. That's about the only enforcement that you really can do, other than some fire threatening ones. But this is what most of the communities are using. The new one is the 2015 International Property Maintenance Code. Google it, read it. I mean, send it to the voters and see what their thoughts are. This is, people are complaining about the way the town looks. Well, this right here gives the code enforcement authority to go out and deal with these.
All right. I'm not familiar with it, so I'll definitely look into it.
Google it.
Yep.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
I Googled it, I tried to print it out, at least the 2012, and I did come across the 2015, which is, like you're saying, a lot of people have gone to.
Right.
But I couldn't print it out unless we bought it, so if it's
No,
something...
actually, I saw one today online that was a free printable PDF.
I thought it was.
Just
And then this was what came out. It says, unless you buy it, you can't print it out. So it wouldn't let me print it out, because I was trying to print it out for you guys tonight.
Do
But-
screenshots.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
But, so anyways,
I mean, I know we're going to be talking March, but we've got to start someplace. So this is that's my contribution on that.
Public hearings and yeah. Yep. Okay. Cool. All right.
I did look at it.
Okay. Next on the agenda, concerns pertaining to Board of Selectmen change and moving forward. Glenn Bailey. Pardon, White. Glenn Bailey. Yes.
Yeah. We were expecting, I don't know what's involved. They asked me to come in case you had questions.
So I guess I'm not.
Well,
You quoted what I said at the last meeting, and
I guess I tend to be single-minded in that I'm still focused on the tax fiasco, and so I wanted a little kind of clarification on that these last 4 months.
Okay, so you got 2 requests on here. You got the next one's a 2017 assessing concerns.
The assessing is sort of separate from the taxes. There are 2 fiascos, but you and Selectman Rawson told me you had nothing to do with setting the rates, and you had nothing to do with the assessment. This is in phone calls to each of you separately. But in the meetings, you say, we authorize the mass assessment. And,
okay, so.
And there's a letter from you guys on the 13th saying, you're patting yourselves on the back for having set the rates. So these 2 things are at variance.
So I guess I'm confused because
well,
the agenda request that I'm talking about right here that I read ahead of time.
You as to what you meant in terms of moving
has nothing
forward.
to do with that.
What does that mean? That way? That way? You're going to break the sequence of 10 years of tax increases? Or you're going to keep on going? I wanted a little clarity as to what changes were. I mean, at this point, it seems to me you ought to be backing out changes to not have this problem that we had. Or moving forward? I mean, forward in which direction?
Hopefully a positive one. That's our plan.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope, but that's not really specified, is it?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm really not.
In terms of the support of the entire community, well, 1/6 of the community said they'd like to dissolve your government. So you perhaps don't enjoy the support of the entire community in moving forward in a direction of increased taxes? I mean, so I wanted a little clarity on what you meant. I mean, you defined insanity there. To me, to keep raising taxes faster than the rate of inflation is the definition of insanity. Are we going to keep doing that like we have for 10 years?
I guess I honestly really don't know how to answer you other than...
It was all just kind of nebulous, what you said, you know?
We are working hard as a group, as a team, to change.
Well,
And to change, we're gonna have to do things differently. So for example, some things that we're working on very hard right now and takes incredible amount of time outside of here, individually we're working on this and we haven't yet come together, is the bylaws for the Board of Selectmen. So everybody's on the same page. The public's on the same page, the board's on the same page, we're all doing the same thing to enact positive changes in town, which, from what we're hearing, people are interested in cleaning up downtown, cleaning up around town, the scenic byway, things like that. And if the board would like to add, please feel free.
First of all, we have to be given time. We've been in office, for this group here, for less than a month. I mean, we can't talk to each other outside of here. We've had 3 meetings, unfortunately, and I apologize. I was very, very ill the last meeting, and ill enough that I couldn't even phone in. So, you know, you have to allow us some time. We have to get things moving in a positive direction. Yes, the tax rate is all going to be based on budgets. Snowstorms, I'm sure Mr. Smith didn't really care for the snow and ice that we had this morning. As far as there's many things that are going to play into that tax roll.
there was a man here at the deliberative session, I didn't catch his last name, Russ.
Neil.
And he put forward that, I mean, your earlier agenda item is you're collecting Santa Claus wish list for the next 5 years. Russ put forward that you need to manage the budgets downwards. It's not just a question of collecting everybody's wishes and, okay, the taxes go up again. You need to manage it as CEOs, is what this Russ said. You can go back and replay it at the deliberative session. If you're just collecting the fantasy wish lists of every department and then, okay, the budget goes up, that's a problem. You're not doing your jobs.
And don't direct that at me, because that's
No,
totally unfair, okay?
I mean, 2 of you are new, and even Ryan Tebow is not responsible for 10 years of this, but are we going to keep repeating the same thing and expect a different result? Or will next year's taxes be higher just because everybody wants more stuff?
We would all hope that they wouldn't be higher. I mean, that's what I would hope. I pay taxes in town. I own my home.
I mean, I've been here for, I'll do the Milton mantra. I've been in Milton for 12 years now. And you haven't had a peep out of me until this latest fiasco, right? I mean, I haven't been happy that taxes go up and up and up and up. But that was just unconscionable. And the fact that nobody sort of explained, how did that come about? And then it's just this kind of, oh, we're all looking at changes, the entire board, the entire community, we want to move forward. I don't want to move forward until I've had an explanation of how that came about. Because you guys didn't set the rates using the mass assessment. I mean, something else was in play there. How are we going to know that's not going to happen again? I can imagine you'd like to move forward from that, because it's kind of embarrassing. But you don't have the support of the entire community to just walk away like you didn't do it. I don't want it to happen again.
Neither do we. And I don't
Well,
think anybody's walking away.
Since we don't know what caused
We
it.
have changed assessors, and we're working through the abatements now. And until the new assessors do a full evaluation, I can't sit up here and give you an answer, because they're going through a ton of data.
From what you've said at these meetings, you didn't use the assessment that we're complaining about to set the rates, because you were all as surprised as anybody when you opened your tax bills.
They were based off those rates, correct, Emma?
It was based off of the budgets, so that's how it was set up. We had what the valuations were in the computer when we set our bills.
We did not or did?
We did, because we set it up off the
Okay, yeah.
valuations. We set off the valuations that were in the data, yes. But
So-
it was over the whole, but we hadn't realized what that had done to the assessment that had been put in there as a whole. Because we didn't know what it was a sample reval. We didn't know what had happened.
You set the rates without evaluation. Or you need
It was-
evaluation and you need a budget to solve for the rates. But you just went and set the rates without evaluation. And
With this.
nobody could see that this might
No.
be a problem.
All right, so I'm assuming you are moving on from the change and moving forward request, and we're going to 2017
I guess.
assessing
The
concerns?
I guess
Because
yeah,
we
I
do
mean,
still
I
have
just
several
thought your
things on the
statement there
agenda.
was kind of nebulous, and I was afraid that it would go unnoticed that this was a disaster, and that you own a piece of it.
Okay,
In terms of the assessors in these meetings, they've been, at the original meeting, they said we paid $80,000 for this. Okay. And then everybody's deflecting responsibility. They say, oh, that was a terrible assessment. They did an awful job. And the new ones think, oh, look at all the work we've got to do to fix this mess. And, okay. Did we get cheated? And we could pay another $80,000 to fix the first $80,000? And if so, why aren't we suing them?
well, I mean,
I don't see why
earlier,
we should pay for a new assessment. when
earlier in the
we already paid
meeting,
for one.
we gave an update on where we are with this. And unfortunately, I don't have anything else right now other than what I gave you for an update.
So we pay for it twice.
We haven't even finished reviewing
No, that's the
last
new
year's
one.
problem.
But you paid for the old one. They're in the process of a new one.
Yep.
Because the old one was so defective, why can't we recover what we paid for the defective one?
We haven't even got through the defective one yet. So maybe that's something we can consider once we get through it, but at this point, I don't have anything else
The new one should be pretty much
to
free,
say.
right? We already paid for an assessment. We just need to get the money back.
It's a different company.
Right. Get the money back from the one that failed and give it to the one that succeeds. Is that even under consideration, or we just say, we paid 80,000, we're moving on?
So I'm gonna just say one last time, we haven't even, our current assessors haven't even got through the problems we had last year.
No, I can see they're waffling already.
So-
that they do things differently as opposed to wrong.
I can't sit up here and have a debate on
Yeah.
how the process works. So I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, that was early in the meeting that they were reporting in that, not so much that the prior company did it wrong, which is what we heard before, but they did things differently.
Again, I can't argue about the process.
Right? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, recording equipment concerns, Tom McDougal.
That's me, Thomas McDougal. Yeah, I'm up here, you can see in front of me, not the back of my head, you may not know who I am. I've got two things to bring to the board regarding, well, I got a whole bunch of things, but two different types of actions. One is, I would like to see the board put in, formalize some procedures for when the equipment's to be used, who uses it. Look into getting some more volunteers right now. It looks like Danielle has stepped right in the meeting she's in to run it. But we've got 2 volunteers right now, myself and Bob Carrier. A lot of meetings in town, people have asked, can we record them? I would like to have some more volunteers. I've got at least, I think I had counted 4 people that had volunteered to record. I'd like to set up a time, a workshop a day, sometime when we can get those that are interested to learn how to record it together. It basically can be as simple as turning the computer on, the soundboard on, clicking a couple of icons on the screen, and it records. You can get fancier and change the title, that's nice, but it is literally that simple. The other thing I would like to have the board consider is the selectmen be trained in how to use it. There's a selectman that sits on just about every board that is of great interest to people. Planning board, budget committee. Of course, you got two of us right now that know how to run, they couldn't run the budget committee, so that may be superfluous. But you ladies and gentlemen are on the boards that people are interested in. That's one way to solve the volunteer problem. If we don't have volunteers to cover all the boards, is you three know how to run the equipment. We don't have a volunteer that can set everything up. You could set up and do it. It really is pretty simple. The other thing that I would like to see is I bring this up about quarterly. This is ever coming into the second quarter. We've got videos stored on the computer. We've got videos stored on a thumb drive. We need to figure out what we're going to do with the recorded videos. Either the selectmen say we're not going to save them, there's advantages to not saving them. If, when you look at the RSAs, that is material that is recorded, that is a record. Somebody can submit an RSA 91A right to know request to get that. I think we can say, it's on YouTube, go download it online, offline, you know, from the internet. I think you can say that. Something else that the RSAs say, if I'm interpreting them right, is that if you have electronic media that the public can request, you have to be able to provide that to them. So if YouTube was to go away and we were to have these, we have to provide that in a form that they can see, be able to use. Technology changes, try finding the Betamax recorder nowadays. Betamax, you know, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, was popular. Technology changes. Maybe the selectmen want to decide we don't want to save the recordings on the computer, because if we do, we may be responsible in the future for keeping them up to date so that we can view them. My personal thought is we don't save them on a computer. We save them to a couple of DVDs and make them available through the Milton Free Public Library to check out if people want to see a hard copy of it. But these are the kind of procedures that, and I'm sort of the de facto one that has been running it. I'm willing to help you work on figuring this stuff out if you want, or have somebody else do it. You can do it among your side. But these are things that we really do need to get figured out, because you know, you see lots of, you know, talking to people, can we record this one? I'd like to see the thing, talking about capital expenditures, you know, the capital improvement plan. Let's get that on video so that we can have more people see it that then might be able to come to the meeting. We probably have an average of 150 to 200 views of meetings. People that see each meeting, probably an average of 150 to 200 times. So people do watch them. I think that we need to formalize how we do that. And I'll leave it to the selectmen to figure out how you want to do that. I'm willing to help if you want.
Appreciate that.
Number one of talking about recording equipment. Number two is...
So do we want to address number one before we go to number two?
You can...
Well, I just want to say one thing
but
when we did look into this before. The Board of Selectmen doesn't have authority over other boards and committees to tell them what they can or cannot do. So it's really up to the other boards and committees if they want their meetings recorded. It's up to them to record them. So we can't set a policy, from my understanding, and we checked on this before, that we can force the boards to record their meetings.
Yeah. But if you three sit on the boards and you know how to run the equipment, and nobody says, we do not want the town equipment used to record it, why can't you start the equipment? That's my point, is if, I'm not saying you take that we're going to take the stance that every meeting has to be recorded. No, if the boards are willing to have it recorded on the town equipment, which is up to each individual board, remember you can't stop somebody from the audience from recording. You can't do that in a public meeting. So if the board says we don't want the town's equipment used to record our meeting, then nothing you can do about that. But if they say yes we do, but the other board members, I'm not interested in learning how to run it. We don't have a volunteer that can come and start and stop the equipment. If you three knew how to run the equipment, like I said, it is as simple as you click about 4 icons on the computer screen. It can be that simple.
Okay. Does the board have any comments?
Well, I can guarantee you I'm not going to be pushing any buttons. I run 16 different systems a day, and just Trust me.
It's just recommended.
Well, I'm just saying, if you've got, like I sit on the ZBA, there's a clerk that takes minutes for the ZBA. I'm sure we can train her to do it. That way it gets me out of it. 'Cause trust me, you do not want me doing any more than, no.
Yeah, I'm just on that as a.
Right, I
as a
agree.
thought, you know,
You
and
know.
it's, you can, they can leave it.
But like Ryan said, we can't dictate to the other boards what they're going to do. I mean, that's,
Yeah, and I know that, but they say, yes, we'll have it recorded, we don't have anybody record it. If the three of you know how to run the equipment, that is not a reason to not have it recorded. You not have it recorded because you don't want it. The board as a whole would decide, we don't want that to happen. That's,
Yeah, okay.
you know, but what I'm saying is, let's do what we can to take the excuses away for not having transparency in our meetings. And if the more people we have that know how to run the equipment, those excuses go away. Or that reason, we don't have anybody know how to run it. We don't have a volunteer available. If we can get more volunteers training, you know, and like I said, it's pretty simple. I'm more than happy to come in on a weekend, on a 6 o'clock after work, whatever. And
Okay.
train the volunteers that have stepped up and said they want to know how to do it.
All right. Okay.
Any other questions about, and that goes to the procedure and whatnot.
Mr. Carrier actually showed me how to do it the other night at the school board meeting. It took me 5 seconds. Can't guarantee that I'd actually remember everything, but I'm sure looking at it, it's pretty easy to do. So
The hard part is remember what silly little button you got to press to edit the title. That took me 2 months to
I
figure
think
out.
it's the red.
I punch buttons until the right thing comes
Yeah.
up. That's honestly, that's what I do.
All right, so you get another?
Yes, I get a couple of them. But anyway, I would really like to see us, one issue that we have in the audience, and yes, this is a right, right to know, it's right to listen, not right to speak, but sometimes we have a hard time hearing. We've got the speakers out here, the couple of times we've had them working, I've been told, yes, we were able to hear. I'd like to see us resituate, I would recommend resituating the recording equipment and the sound reinforcement equipment.
I forgot to plug him back in.
Oh,
when
no,
we moved him earlier.
Because you got to go up, you got to fiddle with levels and make sure that you don't get feedback, stuff like that, until we get everything set. So we're not even trying to do that right
Okay.
now. But where they're at, you can't get adequate volume out of the microphones for the sound reinforcement because you get feedback before you get volume. So what I'd really recommend is that we take the speakers, get tripods for them, or have Public Works put shelves on the wall, something so that they're outboard of where the Selectmen table is at. I would recommend we move the camera from up on the wall, get a tripod, which we can stop borrowing Larry Brown's tripod at deliberative session, use it at, make the camera a little more portable than sitting up there. We could put the camera over in possibly that corner, see the board this way. When you have somebody like the chief come up to present something to somebody, you got a better view of them than seeing the back of their head. And then typically it seems like people present stuff to the board for whatever reason, the right-hand side, I guess because most people are right-handed. You'd be able to at least see, hey, there's something over there. You may not be able to see it well, but you can see that there's something there. And along with the sound reinforcement aspect of moving the speakers, when you're behind the speakers, you can't adequately tell volume. I would recommend moving the computer and everything back here to the center of the room in the back so that you can actually see what's going on in here when we bring the sound reinforcement piece into the equation. Again, it's just suggestions, take it or leave it.
Okay.
But that will make it easier for those of us in the audience to hear, because it's, people are soft-spoken, and it's, the dollars to do that are very, very small. A couple of $100 probably at best. If you're interested, I'll dig up what I can on equipment and send you. We could use this, this, and this. Or, like I said, say, no, we're not going to change anything like it is. That's fine too. And I would recommend.
All right, so,
yeah, go ahead.
are you still, I just want to keep up with the agenda. So we're past the recording equipment, now we're on sounds and speaker concerns.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you going to the next one? Are you still on
I
sounds
will
and
be. I'm
speakers?
still on sounds and
Okay.
speakers right now. when you go if we change anything, if you decide to change this, Gordon Parsons at Music Mill, he could probably get what we want. We'd be supporting a local business. Just so a plug out for him. The other thing that if I would recommend, regardless of whether you make these changes or not, for the deliberative session is getting a what they call a DI box, a direct in box, that allows you to take a high-level source, plug it into a low-level source like the mixing board, or get a digital one so we can plug it into the computer. Then come deliberative session, instead of depending on the microphone on the camera to pick up audio, we can use the microphones that are at deliberative session to feed into the computer that does the recording and get a much better audio, because sometimes it's very, very hard to do that.
Okay.
Again, if this is something the board wishes, and there's money in the capital reserve, or I think it was a capital reserve fund, and the fund that was used, it should be $1,300, something like that in there, I think, because we've gotten a grant from MetroCast for roughly $5,000. The equipment cost, last that I saw, was like $3,500, $3,700, something like that. So there should be money available to do this stuff. And at a minimum, I'd recommend a DI box and tripod. That way we can stop borrowing Larry's tripod.
Okay.
And I think I'm done with that one.
All right. Thank you.
And my last one. Talking about.
All right, so March 26, 2018 workshop concerns.
Why does the board not want workshops recorded? 2 workshops so far, you've said no to recording them. Just want to know why.
Yep. So that was a board decision on both times.
And reason.
Just easier to have conversation, we think. We're bouncing ideas back and forth. It's easier on our discussion. I don't know about saying this now. On our what we were talking about earlier today, for example, some of the things that we were talking about aren't things that we would want. I'm trying to think of a delicate, openly to say to people about what we were looking at. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because you were here at that meeting, so you should pretty much understand.
Personally, I thought anybody that is interested in the history of the town would have found that very informative and may get more interest in, hey, what is this thing? Instead of just presenting a final package, maybe you're going to find people get more interest.
But if you're talking...
I think you were concerned about being sensitive to people's feelings about their homes.
Right. There we go.
But again, so you don't want it recorded because it's a public meeting and you're scared you're going to hurt somebody's feelings.
Not scared that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. I just don't think it's the proper. I mean, I look at Facebook and some of the stuff that's on there and the comments that are made and people, how people react sometimes to some of those comments and their feelings are hurt. I don't think it's right to sit there and talk about somebody's property like that and have it recorded. I just don't think it's right. I wouldn't want, if it was me, I wouldn't want that done. So.
And I know for the past year of me being on the board, I've gotten flack many times about having conversations that people weren't too happy about because we can't do it in non-public and it was recorded. And it's not that anything's trying to be hidden from people, but unfortunately, when you're trying to solve issues sometimes, it takes some discussion and maybe you hit some sensitive areas for different people. And I don't think it's always the best to have it on camera and blast it all over the internet of this is the town of Milton. It's not, I mean, anybody can come in and sit and listen.
And maybe especially things like what was discussed today. I personally think, even though I couldn't see a thing regarding the map until John put it over there, I heard the roads that he was talking about. These are roads that I've been on. I roughly knew about where he was talking about houses. I found that incredibly interesting. Interesting enough that I'll probably talk to John to find some more information about it. Had I not come to that meeting, I would have had, they're doing a Greenway thing. Yeah, big deal. That's, routing people around through Milton. But now you've got somebody who's a resident of the town, myself, more interested in this, and I may not, but I may take more of an interest in this Greenway thing that's going on, and talk to John more about it, and see, is there maybe some way I can help, because it is something that piqued my interest. It sounds like to me that what you're saying is, we don't want people to know what we're doing. I am sorry, that is what I heard.
Well, you heard the wrong thing, because it's the vision of what the scenic byway is. There's some things on it that, you know, we talked about taking off the scenic byway because it's not scenic. Say it was my house that was built in 1860. People don't want to look at my house. Well, if I saw that, I would be ticked that you're talking about my house at a public meeting.
And then this but you did talk about it at the public meeting. But this person, maybe then they'll say, what would I have to do? Maybe they're going to get all up in arms. But I'm just using this last meeting as an example. The meeting at the Selectmen's workshop is the one that I really was interested in, why you didn't want that recorded. We had somebody lined up, you called them up and said, no, we don't want it recorded. That sounds very much to me like...
I don't mean to keep going back to these bylaws that we're working on, but I know in my bylaw version there's an explanation of the different types of meetings we have and what the purpose of them is. And the purpose of a workshop session is brainstorming, having conversation. It's not intended to make motions. It's to sit down and have a open conversation with either the board, members from the community, and I think that a member from a community is more likely to sit there like we did today when we pushed these tables together and sat across from each other and had a conversation of ideas going back and forth. They're more likely to talk to the board if they're not feared of being blasted on Facebook because of what they said on camera.
And how many people were at the meeting you had where they saw that happen? I can tell you how many were. 3.
Yeah.
Not well.
Anybody was welcome to come.
So how do people know that this kind of thing is happening?
It's published.
It's published. We have meeting minutes that will be published.
Yeah, you have meeting minutes. Yep, we talked about this. Are you going to show people, yeah, you know what? We didn't have a us and them. We pulled the tables. We worked together. If you show that in the workshops, and yeah.
For example, the workshop with the state. Sorry, do you want to finish?
If people see that you're working like this in the workshops, perhaps they will want to get more involved. How many committee members, how many open positions do we have? If people see the board working with the members, you're not going to see that in meeting minutes. Meeting minutes, you're going to see, we talked about this, we talked about that. That's what you're going to see in meeting minutes. You don't see, and yeah, you couldn't see the map that was put up. If you'd have put the map that in the table where you're sitting around, you could have seen it. May not have seen detail, you could have seen it. One of the reasons was, oh, you're not going to be able to see it today. But my point is not just, I don't want to focus on today's meeting or the last workshop, but more if you're saying we bring things together, people see us working, if you don't make it available for them to see, they're not going to see you working.
Okay, thank you.
And what I heard was we were worried about hurting people's feelings. I thought we didn't want to do it. That's what I heard the board say. And we want to discuss sensitive things, don't want people to hear. That was the other thing that I heard. I am sorry. I think that is taking a step backwards. I think we need to get these sensitive things out in the open. But that's just me.
Thank you. Any other further comments from the board?
Nothing from me.
All right. Approval of minutes. So first we have the March 26, 2018 workshop minutes. I have a couple changes to those. On the page where it talks about the discussion procedure for the board meeting, it says Selectman Tebow stated the present practices of contacting the town attorney will continue, and I think I recommended. I know I recommended. I'd like to change stated to recommended.
Which page are you on?
Back page.
This one-sided one.
Okay, second page.
Second, yeah. And then all board members agreed. Is that your,
Yes.
is that what you recall? Okay, and then next down under Board of Selectmen meeting minute rules. The chair presented the board members with calendars for the next 3 months and discuss rules. I'd like to add possible rules, because we had a discussion about the
Right.
rules. It wasn't
And
these are
nothing's
the
been-
rules.
Right.
And then if you jump down 2 paragraphs after it talks about what we talked about, right below department head should be able to speak during board of selectmen discussions, I'd like to add a sentence that says all board members agreed with rules.
Correct.
Are you guys?
For now, yeah.
Yeah, well, we did agree at the time.
Right,
Brown.
right.
We-
Yeah.
So, with those amendments, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything to sign up?
You don't want to retype?
Yeah. All right, we'll retype it. You
I
guys
have
will
to
sign it.
get
Okay.
into Kathy's draft to.
Oh, yeah, it's in
I
Kathy's
get the
draft.
markup here, so we'll sign it.
We'll put it in your box to sign it,
Okay.
and then you can put it in each other's boxes like you normally do for other things.
All right. April 2nd.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes written.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to recuse myself because I wasn't here.
Okay.
Didn't send those.
Since I didn't, I don't.
You don't sign. Okay, next we have expenditure report.
I think it's pretty up to date. Nothing's really jumping out at me. We've had a couple little things because we're in the process of switching banks that have been paying attention on that. Tomorrow, relates this a little bit, will be the first payroll at the new bank, so everybody keep their fingers crossed it goes well. But everything seems to be on task as far as I can tell, in terms of the expenditure reports.
The only one, I had a question on the emergency management. And I'm assuming it was just there's a dollar holding the line. 0142.
Just to
Okay.
keep it open.
Okay.
You have to keep lines open.
And then but there's an expense out of it.
I
on the
think there
sum.
was something that I'll have to check with our fire chief about emergency management director, what he had, but we do sometimes have expenditures that come out of there.
Okay.
Or it could have been coded wrong. Sometimes that happens as well.
That was the only thing I saw.
All right. Good. Administrative comments?
Saturday, the 28th is Drug Take Back Day. The police chief asked me to announce from 10 to 2 at the police department. So if anybody in the community has any drugs or prescriptions, if anybody in the community has any prescriptions they need to turn in to the police department on Saturday, the 28th between 10 and 2, please bring it to the Milton Police Department and it will be taken care of. Thank you. It's been a long day, people. The next thing I have is something that we went over with the department heads, and it's in your packets in the front of it. It's the new, or just reinforcing the accounts payable process and the payroll procedure process. I just wanted the board to be aware of it and kind of give us their blessing on it and how we're going to make sure that everything gets out on time, how invoices are going to be done, and you know, the time frame for when things are going to happen here, so that the beginning of the week we're really working on payroll in the finance office. The end of the week is more accounts payable. The key point for the BOS to know is that we really need you on 2 nights a week, or at least a couple of you on 2 nights a week to sign checks. Erin in particular, because she's the chief signatory person, but another one of you to be, so we have a quorum, sign the manifest on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We don't need both of you, but it's nice, but we need at least 2 on the manifest to get those things happen so that all checks go out on Friday that need to. So that's that process.
All right.
That's what I have.
That's it. Selectmen comments?
Go ahead, you start.
Just for my own personal sanity, the night of the elections, I've deleted all of my Milton website, and I don't, on social media, I don't follow them, I don't look at them, I don't follow them, I don't care. I've actually deleted Aaron as a friend. Ryan doesn't have any friends. He's not on social media, I guess. But anyways, I have taken it right off. I don't look at them. I deleted them all. So that's just a couple things that, you know, down the road that I am gonna. I think is extremely important that are now missing. If you go back to the old town reports, I'll never forget, it was at Everett McIntyre, was my next door neighbor, was at a town meeting, an old town meeting, where he stood up and said the town report had your assessment was in the town report. The town took it out to save money for printing. And Everett McIntyre got up and said, the best assessors in the town of Milton are your next door neighbors, because they look to see what your building is assessed at, and that's how. So I, for one, would love to see the assessments of the town properties go back in to the town report, so you can look at what your neighbor pays. And then again, I mean, it's going to pay for itself in one printing. And the other thing, I know we do it, but every meeting, but Milton's lost 2 great guys in the past week. You know, Bob Todges, John Bodwell, you know, served our countries, great guys, did a lot for the town of Milton, both of them. They just, you know, just huge. It's, you know, John was Milton Mills. I mean, I can picture him at the tannery. You know, just super people, nice people, do anything for you. Bob Todges, the Todges family, just huge loss to the town on both ends, and you know, both veterans that served the country. So hurts, but that's it.
For the record, too, I deleted him before he deleted me off Facebook. No, I feel the same way. I deleted all of that. I apologize, I'm working on getting a home phone number. As soon as I get the home phone number set up, it will be added to the town website. We're working on what to do with emails right now, and as soon as that issue is resolved, that will also go on the town website. I just really don't want to give out my personal cell phone and that to the general public, and I hope that people can understand and respect that. So I'll have an answering machine there, and I promise I will check it at least every couple of days, if not every day. So that's pretty much it for me.
All right. I wanted to ask you guys what you would think of moving the brainstorming workshop this Wednesday to the fire station in the training room. Just thinking that we could put the tables together, have the whiteboard there. I have asked Nick if the room was available that afternoon. It is.
When's this?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
At 4.
If the board agrees, I just think maybe
That's
get
fine.
a different tone,
Yep.
different area, different part, and
And they make good coffee up there too.
All right.
Y'all are invited.
Andy, you all right with that?
Yep.
Okay. So
Is that this Wednesday?
Yes.
this Wednesday, 4 o'clock.
Okay. This 10.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, but so, you can take care of that on the, thank you. And then secondly, I just wanted, this isn't a town sponsored function by any means, but it's all weather dependent. I just wanted to let the people of Milton and Milton Mills know that Saturday, April 28th, there will be several antique cars proceeding down Route 125, going right through Milton Mills and continuing on to Wakefield. They expect to depart Spalding High School at 10:30. So I would expect them probably going through here about 20 of 11, and then continuing right through town and into Milton Mills, going Appleby Road, right through Milton Mills. If anybody has any interest in seeing them, it's all weather dependent. Last year, I think there was probably 50 to 65 that paraded through. Don't know how many will show up this year. There were some people waiting out there. So I just wanted to let the community know if they had any interest in seeing that. So, and that's it.
Can I take my card back a minute? Memorial Day. What, I know, I heard last year like that you alternate between Milton and Milton Mills. Who sets that up?
The Legion.
The Legion does it? Everybody's looking at each other going, not me.
The American Legion, right,
Okay.
Pat?
VFW and the Legion.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have contact information?
There is some talk about changing it up to Milton Mills this year because of the Veterans Park needs some work.
Okay.
And it might not be ready by Memorial Day. But that hasn't been set yet.
Okay.
It'll be up to the veterans to do that.
Do you have a point of contact there?
I do.
that can call? Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other business?
I think we're good.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Beth. Did you drink the water?